Welcome to Scaling Your Healthy Food Product podcast, where we believe the process of scaling better for you product doesn't have to be lonely, hard, or complicated, but following simple steps to prepare your product to scale correctly will set you up to succeed. If that is you, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Jacinta. Let's get started, everybody. It's not working. We've tried increasing production and increasing it in higher batches than we used to, and it's not working for this product. I'm not able to get the same product that my customers were used to, the same product that I was used to producing. Why is that? Why am I having issues now when sales are increasing? Is that you? Do you know somebody that is going through the same thing? We've got you. This week, we're talking about scaling your food business and how to increase production without compromising quality. Let's get right into it. So, we're going to talk about like three things that to keep in mind, especially when you're scaling up. And when I say scaling up, I know I've gotten like a lot of questions asking the scaling up. Scaling up, it's just that when you're moving from small batches, you are used to either it could be in like your home kitchen and you are doing like small batches of like 50 kilos, or you're doing small batches of even 30, but now you've had to increase the batches to like 100, more than 100, 50, 1,000, depending on how those mixers are able to take in. And now most of the time it's like moving from your commercial kitchen to the co-manufacturer or the manufacturing facility, and now you have bigger equipments that are able to now maybe mix as way faster, like 10 more times than you used to produce your product. So that's what I mean by scaling up. You're now moving from small quantities to now bigger quantities because the sales are increasing, which is a very good thing. So good job. If this is a problem that you're having, it's a good problem because you're increasing sales and your products they're getting noticed, and customers want more of your product and want more of your healthy product, which is a very good thing, and which I'm very excited about because my mission is to see more healthier products in the food aisle. So I'm excited this is happening for you. But the three things I want you to keep in mind when you're doing this is you have to understand. The first one is you have to understand the scale up challenges. They are challenges, and this is where you're moving from small batches to large batches, because most of the time the equipments vary. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to keep in mind, what am I moving from? Am I moving from this machine to this machine? And you have to think about it. If you're going to like a manufacturing facility that they're used to this, you have to have that talk. When you're having the talk in the beginning, you have to talk to them and try and figure out how fast do the machine mix, if you have a mixing phase, and even the temperatures, how high are they. So you have to look at the process as well to be able to know how well you can match up and how you can adapt your recipe to now large batches. So those are the common issues. The common issues are usually like the mixing, the temperatures, the texture of the product is not the same. The product doesn't taste the same because of the processing, and how everything has moved up is different than what you're used to. So you need to be able to understand that there is a challenge, and you need to be prepared for it, because when you're prepared for it, then you can do some research. You can find people that can help you. You can find experts that can help you to be able to do that effectively. So that's the one thing. And then the second thing is it's reformulating from now for the large batches and the process itself. So you do understand that there are challenges, and the challenges are raw materials, the processing part of it, and now the ingredients. So those are the challenges. And now you have the reformulating piece of it, because you're used to producing it in this way. And if you have been listening to this podcast, you do know that I do talk about you have to you have to be able to record, and you have to be able to know how you're doing things so you can replicate them when time comes. And if you haven't heard it, then there you go. You have to keep track, and you have to keep recording and keep track of what you're doing. So the reformulating is also another challenge, especially when you're moving from the large batches, because now you have to be able to adapt your recipe to now large batches. You want to make sure that you're getting the same product as you're used to, but now in bigger quantities, right? You want to make sure that however your product tasted, smelled like, the texture, everything to the T is now translated the same way as the big batch as when you are doing small batches. So that's the second reformulating challenge, because if you're not careful, there's always the issue of not getting the same product. I worked on a project. We were working on this. It was a cracker, and it had been produced in a small machine, like the sheeting ones, the ones that you can even use like your hand, and they would like sheet it, and then they had people with small cutters that would cut it, which is it's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because it's more like artisanal, it's more almost like handmade. And now production had increased quite a bit. Actually, people wanted the product more now. People were ordering more, and they couldn't keep up, so they had to move to the higher capacity, higher producing equipment. And we were tasked with this product, because now our machines were the rollers are moving at a very high speed compared to the rollers that they were used to. So we had to bring ourselves to, like, okay, so how was your product being produced? Like, we had the person just think about it and try to explain to us what it was. Then we could like figure out, okay, now we've gone like 10 times. We're rolling it like 10 times, and we were at a point where the flowers were not able to hold like the oil, because it's spinning so fast that there's friction, and the oil was leaching out. So more like the oil was like coming out of the flowers of the dough, because of how fast the process was. So we had to rethink the whole process. We had to rethink how we wanted to be able to incorporate the oil. In some cases, in this case, we even had to like change. We had to reduce the temperature of that, just so that by the time it's spinning to that high speeds, and more like it's melting, because these are like coconut oil, which are very, you just put it on your hand and just try rub coconut oil and it will melt, right? So we had to like lower down the temperature for us to be able to get the same product that they were getting. So those are some of the things that really happen, and you don't get to know this is what to expect until you're in it. Then you figure out, oh yeah, I need to do this. So it's not a big thing, but if you don't know, then it becomes a big issue, because then at some cases people start to panic. What do we need to do? Because we have orders and we need to deliver, and we're going to lose customers, and so those are the things that I want you to prevent before you get to that point. But if you are at that point, then it's still okay. You could still make a turnaround. You could still think about it, talk to people around you, and come up with solutions. You can always come up with solutions when you're in that state of mind. So that's the second thing that I want you to think about, the process itself. And it has everything to do with reformulating, because you have to kind of almost reformulate your products to big batches. The third one, this gets overlooked, is finding the right manufacturer. The right manufacturer is like the peanut butter in the peanut, it's like peanut butter and jelly. So it's like the peanut butter in your jelly, basically, because if they don't want to work with you, you will not be able to have a product in the end. And you want to find a manufacturer that has the same values as your company, carries the same values as your company and as your brand, so that you have those agreements and you can easily agree. Have similar ingredients as you have. It's all natural. It's all ingredients that your grandmother can pronounce and can say. So you have to be able to develop those relationships. You have to look for them early in advance. That's why I talk about you have to look for them early in advance, so you know who to work with and who's willing to work with you, because it has to align with your product needs. And then there's also testing. You have to test. Don't be afraid to go to several manufacturers testing your product, because the better you can get a consistent product and the right product, then you're okay. But if you get to a point where you've agreed with the manufacturer and you don't really need to even do the testing before you agree to move forward, then that's also okay. It's a matter of finding the right manufacturer for you and the right place for your product, because it is a long-term solution. You're thinking about a long-term solution here. So because you're going to bring everything there, and you want to get to a point where you're comfortable with it. So don't rush it. This is not a process to rush, which is why I encourage you to, even if you're starting out, start looking at that. Even if you're in a commercial kitchen right now and you see yourself being there for like the next 2 years, that's okay. You can start looking and start just seeing what happens. You can evaluate and you can find the right one and say, yeah, I have a product. This is my product. I'm looking at increasing sales. I see a projection of increased sales, but this is what I'm looking for. Would you be able to work with me? And it's a good thing when you're not like in a panic mode, so you have the free way to just think things through well, unlike when you're in a panic mode. So very, very important. So that's the third one, and that's pretty much it. The only thing I wanted to say, this is just me, the final tip is patience. Be patient and test, because when you're patient and you get to a point where you test, then you can find the right product. Always have your product what you want and what your target is, and as you're testing to find the right product, because once you find your right product, there you go. Your customers are happy, you're happy, and your sales are growing, and I'm happy because your product has made it to the retail stall. So there you go. So the 3 things to keep in mind is understanding the scale up challenges. It comes up with challenges, and then the reformulating of your large batches. Now you have to reformulate that. And the third one is finding the right manufacturer, because this is where everything can get really, really bad. And if you find the right one, then everything just falls into place. And the final tip is be patient, because when you're patient, you can make it work and things can go well, because you're not panicking. So as a parting remark, I want to encourage you to ask questions and share your experiences. Feel free to send me an email with your experiences, what you've experienced so far, whether when you are increasing production or in the process of looking for co-manufacturers. I'm always interested as to how different people, different healthy brands, and what are their experiences. So feel free to do that. I'll be looking out for your emails. And as a free bonus, I'm gonna be giving out today a free bonus for your product when you're scaling your product. So the template that you can use to scale your product without compromising quality. So look out for that in the show notes. And until next time, keep scaling your food business. Bye.